Have you ever noticed your dog suddenly getting up, staring at you, or walking toward the door just a few seconds before something happens? Maybe you reach for your keys, and your dog is already waiting by the entrance. Maybe you think about going for a walk, and somehow your dog is already watching you. Or perhaps, before you even open the refrigerator, your dog appears in the kitchen like they knew exactly what you were about to do. It can feel almost like your dog can predict the future. But what if there's a completely different explanation, and it's actually more fascinating? Your dog may not be seeing the future. They may be reading the tiny patterns you repeat every single day, patterns you don't even realize you're creating. Dogs are incredible observers. While humans tend to focus on obvious actions, dogs pay attention to tiny changes in movement, sound, posture, timing, and even the sequence of events around them. Your dog doesn't need you to say, "We're going for a walk." They may have already collected enough clues to know what's coming. Imagine your normal morning routine. You wake up, walk toward the bathroom, make coffee, grab your phone, put on your shoes, and eventually pick up your keys. To you, these are completely ordinary actions. But to your dog, that sequence can become a recognizable pattern. After seeing it hundreds of times, your dog learns that certain actions tend to predict what happens next. Shoes plus keys plus you moving toward the door may mean one thing: you're leaving. And your dog may react before you even reach the final step. This is where your dog's prediction habit becomes really interesting. Dogs are constantly making small predictions based on what they've experienced before. They learn that the sound of a particular cupboard opening can mean food. They learn that a certain alarm sound means you're about to wake up. They learn that you putting on a specific jacket often means you're going somewhere. They may even recognize the tiny movement you make before throwing a ball. And once the pattern becomes familiar, your dog can respond to the early clues instead of waiting for the obvious event. But there's an even stranger part. Sometimes your dog seems to know what's going to happen when you haven't consciously decided anything yet. You're sitting on the couch, scrolling through your phone, and suddenly your dog looks at you and gets excited. A moment later, you stand up and head toward the kitchen. Did your dog predict it? Not necessarily. Your body may have already started communicating the decision before you consciously noticed it. You might have changed your posture, shifted your weight, looked toward the kitchen, paused your scrolling, or made a tiny movement toward standing. To you, those signals are meaningless. To a dog who watches you every day, they can be valuable information. And this is why some dogs seem almost psychic around their owners. They aren't necessarily predicting events out of nowhere. They're predicting what is likely to happen based on information that humans often ignore. Think about how many times you repeat the same behaviors every day. The way you pick up your bag, the way you put on your shoes, the sound of your footsteps when you're in a hurry, the time you normally come home, the cabinet you open before feeding your dog, even the way you breathe or move when you're preparing to leave. Your dog gets exposed to these patterns again and again. Eventually, the pattern itself becomes a signal. Here's a simple experiment you can try. Pick one routine your dog seems to recognize, like going for a walk. Instead of following your normal sequence, change it. Put your shoes on, but don't touch your keys. Walk toward the door, then sit down. Pick up the leash at a completely different time. Watch what your dog does. You may notice something surprising. Your dog might react strongly to the familiar combination of cues, but become less certain when you break the pattern. That tells you something important. Your dog may not be predicting the future. They may be predicting your behavior. And dogs don't only learn human routines. They also learn environmental patterns. They can associate certain sounds, smells, locations, and times with upcoming events. The sound of a delivery vehicle stopping outside, the noise of a particular gate, the footsteps of a family member, the sound of a food container opening. Even the subtle sounds humans barely notice can become meaningful to a dog. Their world is filled with information that we simply don't pay attention to. This also explains why your dog may sometimes appear to know that someone is coming home before you do. You might be sitting inside when your dog suddenly runs toward the door. It can look mysterious, but your dog may have heard a vehicle, footsteps, a gate, a distant sound, or another environmental cue long before you noticed anything. Their reaction seems like a prediction because you don't experience the clue they responded to. But there's one more layer that makes this behavior especially fascinating. Dogs don't just memorize isolated signals. They can connect sequences. One event leads to another, and another leads to another. It's almost like your dog has an internal map of your routines. If this happens, then that usually happens next. If you pick up this object, you usually do that. If you walk toward this room at this time, something normally follows. The more consistent your routine is, the easier it becomes for your dog to anticipate what comes next. And this may be why your dog sometimes reacts before you give a command. You might think your dog is ignoring you, but sometimes they've already figured out what you're about to ask. Imagine reaching toward a leash while saying nothing. Your dog stands up. You haven't given a command. Yet the dog has already connected the movement with the next event. Now here's something you should pay attention to. Your dog may have a prediction habit that is completely unique to your relationship. Maybe they know when you're about to leave. Maybe they know when dinner is coming. Maybe they know when you're preparing for bed. Or maybe they recognize the tiny sequence you perform when you're about to play with them. These behaviors can become so predictable that your dog starts reacting to the first clue in the sequence. But don't make the mistake of thinking every strange reaction means your dog has supernatural abilities. Dogs can also be wrong. They may react to a sound that doesn't lead to anything. They may expect a walk because you picked up the leash, only for you to put it back down. Their predictions are based on probability and experience, not certainty. In other words, your dog isn't thinking, I know exactly what will happen. Their behavior is closer to, when I see this, something usually happens next. And honestly, that's even more impressive, because it means your dog has been quietly studying your world while you were busy living in it. The next time your dog suddenly gets up before you do something, don't immediately dismiss it as random. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, what happened right before this? Did I move differently? Did I look somewhere? Did I pick something up? Did a sound occur that I didn't notice? Is this part of a routine we've repeated hundreds of times? You might discover that your dog isn't predicting the future at all. They're predicting you. And once you start noticing these tiny moments, you'll probably realize something else. Your dog may understand your daily routine far better than you ever realized. So tonight, watch your dog for just 10 minutes without trying to interact with them. Don't call them. Don't give commands. Just observe. Look for the moment they react before something happens. The movement before the movement. The sound before the event. The tiny clue before the reaction. Because sometimes the most mysterious thing your dog does isn't something they know that you don't. It's something they've noticed about you that you've never noticed about yourself.